Hey everyone! Once upon a time in a distant village nestled between towering mountains and lush green valleys lived a young boy named Aryan. His life was simple, but there was one thing that set him apart from the others. While everyone in the village worked tirelessly, focusing on their tasks with determination and discipline, Aryan had a carefree spirit. He was known for his laughter, his lightheartedness, and the ease with which he approached life. People often saw him lounging by the river or playing with the butterflies, while others were toiling away in the fields or grinding at their daily chores. This carefree attitude of his, in a world where hard work was considered paramount, often raised questions and caused others to doubt his future. His father, a hard-working man who was respected throughout the village for his unwavering commitment to his family and community, often tried to instill the values of discipline and perseverance in Aryan. "You must work hard, Aryan," his father would say. "Life rewards those who toil and sweat. You cannot sit idle and expect to achieve anything." But Aryan, with his bright smile and glint of mischief in his eyes, would simply shrug and reply, "Why should I stress over things that I cannot control? Life is meant to be lived with joy, and everything will fall into place." Despite his father's constant advice, Aryan's carefree nature did not waver. He wandered around the village, making friends wherever he went, listening to the birds sing, watching the clouds float by, and finding joy in the simplest of things. Though his life was full of joy and adventure, many of the villagers believed Aryan was wasting his potential. They would gossip about him, wondering when he would realize the importance of hard work and responsibility. Yet Aryan remained unmoved. One evening, the village elders called a meeting. There was a matter of great importance at hand. The neighboring kingdom had been plagued by famine and drought, and they sought help from surrounding villages. The elders discussed how they could support their neighbors in this difficult time, but the task was daunting. It would require all of the village's resources and the hard work of every villager. Aryan's father was among those who spoke the loudest. "We must give everything we have to help them. Our food stores will need to be shared, and our people will have to work tirelessly to gather what little we can. This is a time for unity and diligence. We must show the strength of our village." The village leaders turned to Aryan's father, as they trusted his wisdom and experience. They knew that his steady, tireless efforts would ensure success. But when they looked at Aryan, they saw a boy who seemed to be oblivious to the severity of the situation. "What can he possibly offer?" they whispered to each other. "He is just a carefree boy with no concern for the future." Despite their doubts, Aryan's father stood by him. "Give him a chance," he said. "His carefree nature might just be the key to something we all overlook." The elders were reluctant, but they agreed to allow Aryan to take part in the mission. Days passed, and the village began its preparations. People gathered food, tools, and supplies, preparing for the difficult journey ahead. The villagers worked from dawn until dusk, their bodies aching with fatigue. Yet Aryan seemed unaffected. He spent his days listening to the wind, playing with the children, and enjoying the beauty of nature. When it was time to leave, Aryan joined the group of villagers setting out on the journey. The village's resources were limited, and the path ahead was uncertain. The weight of their mission was clear in everyone's eyes, except Aryan's. His carefree spirit was undeterred, and he continued to smile even when the journey became difficult. As they traveled, they encountered hardships. The roads were long, and the sun beat down mercilessly on their backs. The village's supply of food dwindled, and tensions began to rise. The villagers' once strong resolve began to crack. They were hungry, thirsty, and exhausted. Yet Aryan remained calm. Whenever someone would complain or grow weary, Aryan would find a way to lift their spirits. One evening, as the group sat by a campfire, Aryan shared a story of a bird that had once flown across the world in search of a perfect place to live. The bird searched for the right environment, only to find that each place had its own challenges. The bird realized that the key to happiness was not finding the perfect place, but learning to enjoy wherever it was. Like the bird, Aryan said, we must make peace with what we have, no matter how difficult our journey may seem. The joy is not in the destination, but in the path itself. His words resonated with the villagers. For the first time in days, they smiled and laughed. The simple, carefree wisdom of Aryan had reminded them of something important, that no matter how hard life got, it was still possible to find joy in the moment. But the greatest lesson came when they finally reached the neighboring kingdom. The villagers had brought food and resources, ready to help those in need. But when they arrived, they found something unexpected. The neighboring kingdom had already started rebuilding, with new crops beginning to sprout and the people working together to overcome their struggles. The neighboring villagers were not sitting idly. They had already begun to take responsibility for their own fate. The villagers from Aryan's village realized that hard work had played a role in the recovery of the kingdom. The crops were growing because people had worked the land, and the people had overcome their challenges because they had chosen to face them head-on. But what they also saw was that the attitude of hope, optimism, and joy, the kind of carefree spirit that Aryan embodied, had made all the difference. People were smiling, working together, and making progress, even in the face of adversity. Aryan's carefree attitude had proven to be more than just a whimsical trait. It had given the villagers a new perspective, reminding them that it was not just hard work, but also a positive outlook and a willingness to enjoy the journey that led to success. As they returned to their village, Aryan's father, who had initially doubted his son's approach to life, realized the true value of his carefree spirit. "I used to think that hard work was all that mattered," he said. "But now I understand. It is not enough to work hard. We must also work with joy. It is that joy that will carry us through the toughest times." The villagers, too, had learned an invaluable lesson. They understood that hard work was important, but so was the ability to enjoy the journey, to let go of unnecessary stress and to approach challenges with a light heart. By being carefree, they realized they could achieve everything they set their minds to, not because they didn't work hard, but because they knew how to stay positive and persistent through even the most difficult times. And so the village thrived, not just because of the work they put in, but because of the spirit they carried with them. Aryan's carefree nature had inspired a transformation, and his wisdom had shown that joy and hard work could exist side by side. Years passed, and Aryan grew into a wise leader of his village. People from neighboring lands came to him for guidance, and Aryan always told them the same thing: be carefree and you will achieve everything. But remember, being carefree doesn't mean being careless. It means trusting that everything will unfold as it should, without fear, without stress, and without unnecessary worry. The universe works in mysterious ways. If you do your part and keep a positive attitude, success will find you. And so the village continued to flourish, with the memory of Aryan's lesson woven into the fabric of their lives. The people knew that true success was not just about working hard, but about enjoying the process and having faith that everything would fall into place when the time was right. For those who dared to be carefree, the world would always find a way to give them everything they dreamed of.